All right, let's dive right into today's explainer. We are breaking down some absolute cinema today. The story of a grief-stricken martial arts god who gets dropped into an entirely new world and, honestly, just plays it on beginner mode. This isn't your average tale of survival. It's a masterclass in crazy world building, ridiculously overpowered abilities, and the sheer audacity of an overlord who totally refuses to play by anyone else's rules. We're going to trace his complete chronological journey, look at the magic systems he casually shatters, and dig into the emotional core that actually drives all his icy conquests. So, to really get our protagonist Mudak, you kinda have to understand where he came from. The guy conquered his entire world. We're talking a brutal 6-year war, just to become the absolute ruler of the continent. But here's the tragic part. He lost his one true love, Ho Yang, along the way. Heartbroken, he spends years searching for her reincarnation, relying on this magical love lotus flower to guide him. Well, one day he's out at sea, and a freak tsunami hits. Munich actually tries to freeze the entire ocean, but suddenly his necklace glows, a massive light shoots into the sky, and boom, he wakes up wedged between some crates in a carriage in a totally alien universe. Which brings us to part 1, dropped in a new world. The very second he wakes up, it is immediate chaos. He's surrounded by these giant mutant flies attacking the locals, and he just casually swats them out of the sky like it's nothing. Naturally, this completely baffles the people there, and it comes down to a massive difference in power systems. See, Mudok uses internal martial arts energy called Ki, specifically the Divine Ice Palm. He cultivates this energy within his own body in a core called a Dantian, but the locals, they rely entirely on external mana for magic. They start calling him a magic swordsman, but he has literally no idea what magic even is. He is just using raw, cultivated physical and spiritual power to completely break their reality. Now, you can punch all the giant mutant flies you want, but that doesn't really help you ask for directions, right? After saving the Royal Merchant Association, Muddock realizes he cannot understand a single syllable anyone is saying. Luckily, the head merchant, Edmund Royal, lends him a super expensive enchanted ring. Once he puts it on and activates the language interpretation spell, the communication barrier is finally broken. And it's only then that Muddock realizes the scope of what's happened. He hasn't just traveled far from his home in the Central Plains, he has been teleported to an entirely different dimension, specifically a place called the Drea Kingdom. Moving right along to Section 2, the ice cream hustle. Okay, so what exactly does a supreme martial arts overlord do when he's stranded in an unfamiliar magical kingdom? Well, obviously he lays low and starts a side business selling magically frozen ice cream. It's brilliant, actually. First, he earns the caravan's loyalty by using his incredibly precise ice key to safely destroy a deadly fly parasite egg that was resting right against a young girl named Savina's heart. Then, he realizes that because his key doesn't have the impurities of normal mana, the ice he creates is perfectly clear and tastes infinitely better than their standard magic ice. Savina comes up with a fruit mix to add to it, and boom, it's a massive hit. Mudok strikes a pretty ruthless 60-40 profit split with Edmund Royal, and overnight, this struggling merchant group becomes wildly rich. But, as you'd expect, the reality of this world's wildly corrupt class system rears its ugly head pretty fast. This incredibly arrogant young noble named Justin decides to violently cut the ice cream line and starts threatening the staff. Mudok is absolutely not having it. He doesn't even bother drawing a real weapon. Instead, using just a tiny wooden stick and some formless key, he systematically slips past every single one of Justin's flashy magical strikes, completely wrecks the guy's hand, and delivers this humiliating disciplinary beatdown. It is a harsh lesson in what actual power looks like. That takes us to Section 3, Saving the King. So Mudok's icy justice definitely puts him on the local radar. But things escalate from 0 to 100 when the incognito ruler of the Dra Kingdom, King Tomalov, is ambushed by masked assassins literally right outside the ice cream shop. In what has to be one of the coldest flexes ever, Mudok leaps into action. He traps the assassins inside a protective key barrier and then just freezes them solid with a storm of ice spikes. The king is in shock and asks who this incredible savior is. Mudok just casually explains that his brutal retaliation is purely because the commotion outside caused his ice cream back in his room to melt. Yes, you heard that right. He wiped out an elite death squad over a ruined dessert. The king is obviously deeply grateful and invites Mudok back to the palace for a grand reward. But, the royal court is just full of vipers. Justin's humiliated father, Duke Sergio, sets this sneaky little political trap. He suggests the king grant Mudok the title of Baronet Blizzard and give him control of the northern territory of Carillon. Now, it sounds like an honor on paper, but Caroline is a deadly, frozen wasteland packed with monsters. Lords get chased out or killed there all the time. It's basically a blatant exile. And that kicks off Section 4, Lord of the Frozen North. These corrupt nobles actually thought the freezing north would kill him. They clearly didn't realize they just sent a literal ice elemental god to his natural habitat. With that massive home field advantage, his complete conquest takes exactly 10 days. On day 1, he establishes his dominance by out-drinking the rebellious local hero, Max, with his dangerously strong liquor, and doesn't even blink. By day 5, he orders the migration of all 10,000 scattered citizens into a massive, naturally heated cave system he names White Castle. And by day 10, he casually slaughters the region's terrifying ice ogres, securing the whole area and locking in the absolute loyalty of his new subjects. Section 5. Building a Winter Empire. So, Mudok isn't just surviving the harsh environment, he is actively building an unstoppable winter empire. He's basically treating real life like a strategy game. He orders his people to steal baby ice wyverns to set up a full aerial transport and trade network. He takes the local outlaws and reforms them into his elite mounted cavalry, the Glacial Storm Knights. He captures a mage named Jerome and forces him to turn ancient mana stones into instant long-distance communication devices. He even recruits a legendary Yeti named Kongdal to manage an ancient magical library. I mean, he's leapfrogging the rest of the world's military and tech in just a matter of months. But right beneath that terrifying overlord exterior is his emotional core. During a quick visit back to the capital, he makes a massive discovery. The kingdom's princess, Ezreal, is the exact physical reincarnation of his lost love, Xuyang. He invites her up to his new northern domain, and before he heads out, she gives him a lucky charm kiss. It leaves them both totally flustered, but it's this surprisingly sweet, romantic moment that really grounds his otherwise ruthless ambition. Which brings us to the climax. Section 6. The Ultimate Icy Vengeance. Because, of course, no good deed goes unpunished. Just as Mudok is hosting the princess at his winter fortress, enjoying a peaceful moment by the hot springs, his old enemy Justin crashes the party. Fueled by pure rage and humiliation, Justin launches a devastating surprise attack, meant to wipe out our overlord once and for all. And he's not using standard magic this time. He comes armed with this highly lethal, shape-shifting, cursed magic weapon provided by his father, which envelops him in impenetrable magical armor. He literally smashes through the castle walls and goes straight for the princess. But this just ends up showcasing the absolute, almost laughable disparity in their power. Mudok leaps in to protect Ezreal. Justin swings his ultimate cursed blade with full killing intent, and Mudok literally just stands his ground. He blocks the supposedly unstoppable magical strike with raw, bare-handed ice key. Then, he shatters the enchanted blade into a million pieces using nothing but his internal energy, which strips away Justin's magical armor instantly. Now, Mudok could have easily just killed him right there. But he explains this chilling bit of philosophy. Even a trapped rat will bite a cat if you leave your enemy no way out. The idea is, a cornered, desperate enemy might still find some twisted way to hurt Princess Ezreal in the future. So, instead of just ending Justin's life, Mudok decides to deliver a much more permanent kind of neutralization. He needs to ensure this arrogant noble can never, ever threaten anyone again. So, with a terrifying burst of freezing ki, Mudok places his hand directly on Justin's chest and systematically shatters his dantian, his internal core. In a world completely ruled by magic and power, stripping a noble of his mana forever is a fate so much worse than death. He leaves Justin as a powerless, crying wreck, forcing him to live out the rest of his days as the very same kind of weak peasant he used to torment. Talk about the ultimate icy vengeance. With the villains utterly crushed and his northern empire totally thriving, this explainer wraps up on a massive cliffhanger. Princess Ezreal, who is still pretty shaken from the whole attack, happens to find Mudok's dropped necklace, the glowing love lotus. She recognizes the deep affection he holds, but she actually thinks it's for someone else named Hu Young. But as the flower begins to glow brightly in her presence, it leaves us all on the edge of our seats. Will her past life memories finally return, or is Mudok gonna have to figure out how to win her heart all over again in this totally new world? What an absolutely incredible journey. I hope this breakdown helped you grasp the truly epic scale of this story. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.